We are just a few days removed from night one of WrestleMania 41, and I'm still trying to come to terms with everything that's happened. So before we go any further, let me know down in the comments, what is your OMG moment of the night? For night one, we'll get to night two later. I've said it before and I've said it again. WrestleMania is the grandest stage of all. It is the biggest stage in sports entertainment, and it is our yearly Super Bowl. This is where the best of the best come to show out. And WrestleMania 41 lived up to that expectation somewhat. We had some very great high points and a little bit of low points. So we're going to get into my review and recap of WrestleMania Night 1. We'll get into everything in Night 2 in a separate video because there's a lot going on. WrestleMania weekend is like running a marathon for 7 days. Like, when I tell y'all, even now, I'm absolutely exhausted. And all I did was watch TV. I can't imagine how the people who went to Mania or the people who were involved in WrestleMania feel, because I'm tired. But we pushed through, and we're going to talk about it because we have to talk about the title match for the World Heavyweight Championship featuring Jey Uso and Gunther. I have to start by saying Jey Uso's entrance was just as hype as I thought it would be, and the Raider cheerleaders was a really, really nice touch. I loved his new gear because it just felt like something a champion would wear. I mean, the man was already in gold. There was no way he was walking out without it. This is probably the most predictable match on the card because I don't think there's a single one of us who ever even considered Jey Uso not winning the championship. This match was do or die for Jey, as he was already 0-3 against Gunther. Per usual, there's a lot of mixed reactions to this match, but I did enjoy it. Because this match was more of a story than physicality. While I did wish there was just a tiny bit more brutality for how Gunther did Jimmy, Jey got that man back because he was eating everything Gunther threw at him. Things that usually would have knocked Jey down took his breath away. He was getting right back up from. Gunther was on the run. Gunther was on the defense. Gunther was on the ropes trying to figure out what to do next. There were a few times where Gunther had to get out the ring after Jey came back at him after something that should have laid him down. He had to regroup, rethink, get himself back together. Because though Gunther has been cocky and confident this entire time, we were starting to see that those chinks in his armor reappear. We're starting to see that maybe he is worried about losing his title. He's bragged so often about how most of his career has been with a title. I do think that Gunther was truly afraid to lose this title, and it showed because for the first time in I don't know how long, Gunther was cheating. Gunther used the title against Jey, and that still didn't keep that man down. Jey kept coming back for more. To me, him using the belt showed his desperation and his fear, and it did not help Gunther in the least bit, because after not one or two, but 3 Uso splashes and a sleeper hold, Gunther was forced to tap out, making Jey Uso the brand new World Heavyweight Champion. Again, I really did enjoy this match. No, I won't say that this is the best round that these two put on. Personally, I would probably give that to the Saturday Night Main Event match back in December. However, again, the story that this match told was so much bigger than the physicality of it. We saw a man who was not only defending himself, but defending his family, who had a point to prove, and he was not going to lay down until he proved his point. On the other hand, we saw a man who doesn't know who he is without gold. A man who was desperate and afraid to become someone that he has not been for most of his career. So where Gunther goes from here next, I don't know, but I'm really interested to find out. Like I'm interested to find out who Jey Uso's first challenger will be. The World Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders, took on the New Day in what I think was a great showing of tag team action. Now, I don't really have a lot to say about this match because, unfortunately, this was one of the matches I didn't care a whole lot about, but it was good. Anytime I see the War Raiders in action, I'm always in awe of them. And you would think at some point I would get over it because I've seen it time after time after time. But Eric and Ivar are such talented performers, and they have great chemistry with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Kofi and Xavier are arguably one of the greatest tag teams in the modern era, including Big E. As much as they don't want to talk about it, Big E is included in that. And the New Day showed that they can still go toe to toe with the best of them. As I predicted, they did sneak this win away from the War Raiders because as Woods was pinning Ivar, Kofi held his foot down to stop him from being able to kick out. The way those guys hightailed it out of the ring, I would too if I knew Ivar and Eric were coming after me. But again, this is a really, really good match. With the heel run that the New Day is on, I do think it was the right decision to put them back in the title picture after their crazy turn on Big E when we thought they were breaking up. I've been waiting for the New Day to capitalize off a moment, to finally reach the top of the mountain again, the thing that they've been wanting the most, which was gold around their waist. So we just have to see what they're going to do and who they're going to do it against. With the draft just around the corner, I'm hoping we get some new tag teams to mix things up and give them something new. Naomi versus Jade Cargill, which I was very highly anticipating, was a pretty decent match. I will be as unbiased as I can and say that there was a few awkward moments and it could have been changed better. However, I think better would have been having that stipulation on there. I truly do feel like these women were held back a little by the rules of the match. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. And there's a lot of anger and resentment and jealousy and passion between these two women, but they still brought it as best they could. I also would have liked for them to have just a little more time because, again, this has been one of the most highly anticipated stories. It's the most talked about. Arguably, it had the biggest build going into WrestleMania. To the fact that this poster was the one that was featured on the wall with Cena and Cody, Jey and Gunther, and Roman, CM Punk, and Seth outside of Allegiant Stadium. That's how big this match ended up being. And I just feel like I needed just a tiny bit more. Now, I'd originally predicted Naomi winning this match or it ended in a DQ, and neither of those things happened. It is the one match on this card that I got incorrect. I do have to touch on the fact that Jade Cargill hit the most insane power bomb when she had Naomi up on her shoulders, flipped her around, power bombed her, and then immediately hit the Jaded and pinned her. Again, I may not agree that with Jade winning, but it was still a beautiful ending. My only concern before the post show was that what more reason did Jade have to fight her? Jade won. She's had the upper hand for most of their feud going into WrestleMania, and she won the match at WrestleMania. But according to the post show, Jade's not done with Naomi. And that makes me happy because I need my street fight. I need my last woman standing match. I need an ambulance man. I need something. I need these women to get violent, okay? I need brutality. I just want these women to tear each other limb from limb and lay it all on the ground. I do think this was the perfect match for Jade Cargill in her singles debut at WrestleMania. Naomi's a great partner to have because with her vet status, she knows how to read the match. She knows when to slow things down. She knows when to pick things up. She helps the match move along as best as she can while making both herself and her opponent look very good. And they both looked great. So I will just suck it up and I will see what happens Friday when these two women hopefully see each other again on SmackDown. LA Knight defended his United States Championship against Jacob Fatu in what I think was another really good match on the card. Now, y'all know I'm not the biggest LA Knight fan, but that BFT mid-air in Jacob's moonsault was absolutely nuts. I really think that this match had the perfect balance. Both of these men looked really strong. It showed their full athleticism. It showed what they both can do. And it also showed that while LA Knight is an amazing wrestler, it is not easy to lay the Samoan werewolf down. Truly, with this one, I have no complaints. My biggest complaint would be I didn't really care for LA Knight's entrance too much. While I love the Maserati entrance, I just thought it was missing a little more pizzazz. It was missing just a little bit something extra. But it doesn't seem like entrances was a big focus for a majority of the card this year. I'm used to seeing a lot more flashiness, a lot more big, and a lot of it was just very mild, especially with such a big and glamorous set design. I don't know. Like I said, that's my only complaint about this whole match because the rest of it I full on enjoyed. Jacob is an absolute beast, and we also got to see Haku ringside congratulating Jacob. So I'm ready to see the reign. I'm ready to see, do we get Solo versus Jacob, or do we get Jimmy versus Jacob? I don't care. Just give me a good title reign. Give me a good mid-card title reign for Jacob Fatu, because he deserves it. Unfortunately, Rey Mysterio was not able to compete in his WrestleMania match on Saturday. And before I go any further, I just want to wish Rey Mysterio the best. It really sucks when we have injuries in general, but especially the day before WrestleMania. So I really hope he has a speedy recovery and is back in the ring doing what he loves as soon as possible. El Grande Americano still needed an opponent, and that saw Rey Fénix get to make his WrestleMania debut. While I said the New Day was one of the least, this one was really the least. I told y'all, I'm still very confused about the whole El Grande Americano thing. I don't know if it's supposed to be a joke. I don't know, and that stops me from full on enjoying it. Because like, if it's a joke, okay, I just don't get it. But what I can say is that that match was absolutely amazing. It was probably one of my favorite matches on the card, because all jokes aside, Chad Gable is an absolute beast in the ring, and we really do need to stop sleeping on him. And if this is what it takes, I'll consider it. I'll consider it, because that man hit like a 450, a 780. I don't even know, but the flip was just absolutely insane. And unfortunately gave Rey Fénix his very first loss at his debut WrestleMania. I'm just slightly wondering if El Grande Americano will be at Worlds Collide in June, and when we'll get that unmasking to happen. I really did enjoy this match, and I think I'm still kind of shocked that I enjoyed it as much, which I shouldn't be, because again, Chad Gable's amazing, Rey Fénix is amazing. Put them in the ring, you're gonna get a work of art. And kudos to both of these competitors, because they had to put this match together at the very last minute. Literally less than 24 hours before showtime, and they went out there and absolutely killed it. So hats off to both men. So this one might be an unpopular opinion, but I think I'm one of the only people who actually enjoyed Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. The match itself, and not just the entrances, because these were two of my favorite entrances and two of my favorite gears of the whole night. If you don't know, I call myself Wrestle Talk Barbie over on Instagram and TikTok. And so a Barbie dream house entrance with Barbie boxes is right up my alley. And it fit Tiffany Stratton absolutely perfectly. Charlotte Flair's gear was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. And that corset, I'm going to need her to let me have that. But when it comes to the match itself, I thought it fit what the story should have been perfectly. These two came out the gate swinging at each other. They were not playing, and they were ready to go to war. Neither of these women wanted to stay down. For me, this match actually made up for the trash ass bill we've had to deal with since Royal Rumble. You had Charlotte being very confident or overly confident, trash talking Tiffany. You had Tiffany being smart, catching the vet off her game and using her weaknesses against her. We all know that Charlotte Flair has an injured knee, and Tiffany made sure to focus in on it. So much so that while Charlotte was able to get a figure 4 leg lock on her, she wasn't able to get the figure 8 in. Tiffany was actually able to target that leg enough that Charlotte had no choice but to break the hold, saving Tiffany from a tap out. Now, I'll admit there was a few moments, like with the prettiest moonsault ever into the knees, and then that should have been an immediate roll up. There's a few moments where you could see them giving cues. I'll admit that. And then there was also the natural selection off the top ropes that, while beautiful, looked slightly off. But I do think this was still a good, hard-fought match. I thought it was better than expected, given what we've been getting. Was it the match of the night? Of course not. The main event was. But I don't think it was absolutely horrible. Y'all let me know how y'all felt about this one specifically down in the comments, because I gotta see if it's just me and if I just need to go rewatch it again. Now we have to get into the actual main event. And if we're comparing, this one was the main event of the weekend. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk did a battle of the immortals. We've heard Cole say that time after time after time. This was that match. This was 3 legends, 3 GOATs, arguably, facing off and giving each other absolute hell for about 20 to 30 minutes straight. There was so much going on in this match that it's hard to pinpoint exactly what my favorite thing was. You had Seth and Punk in the crowd hitting each other with anything that was not nailed to the ground, including like a separator for the aisle and a trash can that was actually full. You had Roman Reigns jumping over a barricade and landing on Seth and Punk and slightly on some of the crowd. There's so many 2 counts in this match. There's so many holy shit, oh my God moments in this match. You had Roman having Seth on his shoulders, Punk jumping off the top rope with a doomsday device, damn near taking Seth's head off. You had Roman trying to hit Seth with a spear, who countered it into a pedigree. And then, just when we think we're about to get a Shield powerbomb for the first time in I don't know how long, Roman says, nah, fuck that. Punches Seth and puts both Seth and CM Punk through the announce desk. But it's the last 5 to 10 minutes of this match that really blew my mind the most. And I have to walk y'all through this because y'all gotta know what my mind was going like the whole time. So Roman, Seth, Punk laid out in the ring. Everybody then took each other's finisher. And Paul Heyman has stood over to the side the entire time looking nervous and scared and just for him to walk over and get a chair. That man stared Roman directly into his eyes, looked into Roman's soul, and passed the chair to CM Punk. So I'm sitting there, oh my God, Paul, how could you? How could you do this to him? Roman is looking so sad. He looks like a wounded puppy. And Paul low blows CM Punk. Okay, all right. See, this is where Roman fucked up. Because Roman starts laughing. He's enjoying this. Ha 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 ha. I knew my wise man would never leave me, right? You knew good and damn well that you can't trust nobody. Didn't you just say that earlier this week? Didn't you just say you was going to stop trusting people? And your dumb ass took the damn chair, pushed that man behind you just to get low blowed yourself, and get yet another chair shot to the back from Seth. Are you nuts? How many times this man got to hit you with a chair before you get some type of chair door or something to let you know it's coming? When I say this was a WrestleMania main event, I mean that. This should have closed out the show. And by the show, I mean the weekend of shows. If not for that women's triple threat, which we'll get to in the other video, this night could have been the main event of the weekend. You had that beautiful package for CM Punk coming into his very first WrestleMania, getting a forehead kiss from Paul Heyman. You have 3 of the biggest superstars on the roster absolutely going at it, tearing each other up in the ring, outside the ring. There's just shit everywhere. And then you have Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman. And while it was somewhat predictable, if you say you weren't shocked or even somewhat surprised with how it all played out, I don't understand how. While I expected Paul to turn on them and even go with Seth, it was the way it played itself out. Because we all expected Paul to go get a chair, but the way we had to work to Seth being the guy, 10 out of 10. This was my match of the night. This match was absolutely everything I could have thought of and more. It shut up the haters who didn't want Roman involved, who didn't want this to be the main event, who didn't understand why it was the main event. They showed exactly why they deserved to be the main event. So I have to give match of the night for night 1 to Roman, Seth, and Punk for a well-fought match with a true WrestleMania ending. Who was your match of the night and what was your favorite WrestleMania moment? If there was something you could have added to the card or taken away from it, what would it be? If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed to my channel and have your post notifications turned on so that you get alerted whenever I post. I will try to get the video for night 2 up as quickly as I possibly can. So until then, bye guys.